Imagine waking up one morning and finding the sky missing. Not covered by clouds, not hidden by rain. Gone. Replaced by a wall of dust stretching from horizon to horizon. The sun becomes a faint orange glow. The air turns brown. The wind never seems to stop. Every breath feels heavier than the last. Fields disappear. Roads vanish. Entire towns fade beneath drifting waves of soil. This wasn't a scene from a movie. This really happened in the heart of America. During the 1930s, millions of people witnessed one of the strangest environmental disasters in history. A disaster that transformed fertile farmland into a landscape that looked almost otherworldly. A disaster so immense that many called it the end of the American dream. This is the story of the Dust Bowl, America's forgotten apocalypse.
Before the Dust Bowl, the Great Plains were considered a land of endless opportunity. Stretching across states like Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, Colorado, and New Mexico, the region offered rich soil and vast open spaces. Farmers arrived by the thousands. Families built homes, communities grew. The land seemed limitless. Year after year, crops flourished. Wheat fields stretched farther than the eye could see. The future looked bright, and few people realized that beneath the surface, a hidden problem was already growing.
For thousands of years, the Great Plains had been protected by native grasses. These grasses weren't ordinary plants. Their roots stretched deep underground, holding the soil firmly in place, protecting the land from strong winds. But as farming expanded, millions of acres of grassland were removed. Fields replaced prairies. Machines plowed deeper and deeper. At first, the harvests were impressive. Success encouraged even more cultivation. Yet nobody fully understood how much the land depended on those natural defenses. And when drought arrived, everything changed.
In the early 1930s, rain became increasingly rare. Months passed without meaningful precipitation. The soil dried under relentless heat. Streams shrank. Ponds disappeared. Fields began losing moisture. Farmers waited for rain. Surely next month would be better. Surely the drought would end. But it didn't. Season after season, the ground became more fragile. And across millions of acres, the soil slowly turned into dust.
Then, the wind arrived. At first, it seemed normal. A typical plains breeze. But when the wind swept across exposed farmland, something unusual happened. The soil lifted into the air. Small clouds of dust appeared. Then larger ones. Soon, entire fields vanished beneath swirling brown skies. People watched from their porches in disbelief. The land itself seemed to be flying away. And this was only the beginning.
On April 14th, 1935, one of the most famous dust storms in history swept across the Great Plains. The day began normally. Families attended church. Children played outdoors. Farmers worked their land. Then, a massive wall of dust appeared in the distance, growing larger, darker, closer. The cloud stretched for hundreds of miles. Witnesses described it as a moving mountain crossing the horizon. Day turned into twilight. Visibility disappeared.
The storm rolled across towns, farms, and highways. People sheltered indoors as dust found its way through doors, windows, and walls. The event became known as Black Sunday, and it shocked the nation.
Daily life became incredibly difficult. Dust settled everywhere. Inside homes, on furniture, in kitchens, across entire towns. Families hung wet sheets over windows. They sealed cracks with cloth. Yet the dust still entered. Every morning, people cleaned. And every morning, the dust returned. The landscape itself seemed transformed. Trees disappeared beneath drifting soil. Road signs vanished. Fences became buried. The world looked unfamiliar, almost like another planet.
As conditions worsened, many families faced impossible choices: stay and hope conditions improved, or leave everything behind. Thousands packed their belongings into trucks and cars. They traveled west, searching for new opportunities. California became a symbol of hope, a place where work might still exist. Entire communities relocated. The migration became one of the largest internal movements in American history. And along highways stretching across the country, new stories of resilience began. Scientists and conservationists studied the disaster carefully. They realized the land itself needed protection. New farming techniques emerged. Farmers planted windbreaks. Trees were added across vast areas. Soil conservation programs expanded. Agricultural practices changed dramatically. Slowly, the relationship between people and the land began to evolve. The Dust Bowl taught a powerful lesson. Nature cannot be ignored indefinitely.
Eventually, the weather changed. Rain returned to the plains. Grass slowly reappeared. Fields recovered. Communities rebuilt. The skies cleared. But the memory remained. Those who lived through the Dust Bowl never forgot the sight of enormous dust clouds crossing the horizon, or the feeling of watching the landscape disappear into the wind.
Today, millions drive across the Great Plains without realizing what once happened there. The fields are green again. The towns are thriving. The skies are blue. But hidden within the history of those open landscapes is a remarkable story. A story about nature, human ambition, adaptation, and survival. Because the Dust Bowl was more than an environmental disaster. It was a reminder that even the strongest civilizations depend on something simple: healthy land, and the delicate balance between people and the world beneath their feet. The Dust Bowl may be history, but its lessons remain as important today as ever.